Hello, this is Angus Lockwood and welcome to Soccer Millionaire. Now, the Premiership produced some unbelievable action last weekend. I wonder whether we're going to get the same this time round. Well, Manchester City were involved in one of the big stories of the season. In fact, one of the big stories of the Premiership in its 20-year history with their 6-1 win last week. Now, they played Wolves in the Carling Cup on Wednesday. That was at Molineux, and they played them again this weekend. This time, it's at the Etihad Stadium. They'll be everyone's banker. They should win, but football has a strange habit of sometimes kicking you when you're down. And Mick McCarthy, whose side were 2-0 down with just minutes to go at home to Swansea last week, produced a great comeback. That should be a banker and will be for many people. City against Wolves. Norwich against Blackburn is a must-win, one feels, for both sides. Steve Keane knows that this is a huge game for Blackburn Rovers, but equally for Norwich City, if they're going to remain in the Premiership, they've got to win the home game. So a tight game, you know what'll happen? This will probably end up all square. Sunderland against Aston Villa is a game where I think home advantage is going to play the key, and I'm going to go for Steve Bruce's side to outdo Alec McLeish's Aston Villa, who are still smarting at that defeat against local rivals West Brom last week at Villa Park. Now, another huge game is Swansea against Bolton. Again, home advantage is important. You could say that about Bolton, although they've lost 5 in a row at home and were perhaps a bit unlucky after taking the lead against Arsenal in Tuesday's Carling Cup side to go behind. I expect Swansea to win and force more pressure on Owen Coyle. Wigan against Fulham is also another game where home advantage should be important, and I saw Wigan at Newcastle last week and I didn't really think they deserved to lose. I don't think they will lose against Fulham, but I can't see this being one of the most attractive games of the weekend. A low-scoring draw, either 0-0 or 1-1. Tottenham take on QPR on Sunday, and last week's West London derby was enthralling. I've seen quite a lot of Tottenham recently in Europe against Rubin Kazan and away to Newcastle, and I think they're going to be too strong for Queen's Park Rangers. But Neil Warnock's side will battle. They'll make it hard for Tottenham, but I think Spurs are going to end up winning this one. It may only be a narrow victory by a single goal. And what about Newcastle, still unbeaten, going to Stoke City on Monday night? I think this is another opportunity for them to get some points. I'm not saying it's going to be all 3, but it wouldn't be at all surprising to me if this one ends up all square, live on the telly on Monday night at the Britannia. We had plenty of goals last week, we had plenty of red cards, we had plenty of drama, and nearly all the teams scored. On Sunday, there were 6 games and only Chelsea failed to score. It could be a similar story this weekend, although a lot of sides this weekend simply want to avoid defeat.